Hello again to all my friends, pizza lovers everywhere. We had an outstanding victory for hashtag Team Pizza. Therefore, I have a picture of pizzas here, and these are three different fractions, which we already know about. 1/2, 2/4, 4/8, and they all actually represent half a pizza. Now, I am Mr. Pizza. Saying hello, smiling politely. No, that's not true. I'm Mr. Benjamin, you know that. Well, at least I'd hope you'd know that. Mr. Benjamin, trying to avoid the watermark. Sorry if I missed it. There you go. Smiley face. This is Chapter 9 continued. We are now multiplying and dividing our fractions. Ooh, scary. Not really, though. Learning goals for today. We are going to, like we said, multiply and divide fractions. Fractions, remember, that's anything that's not a whole number, with similar and different denominators. Now, denominators we said were which? Bottom or top number? Let's give an example. Let's say 3/4. Top number, this is the numerator. And bottom number, I'm going to write it over here, is denominator. Whoops, not demon. Denominator. And we said that D, the word down starts with D, so you can remember down, denominator. So before we get into actually how to multiply fractions, we're going to talk about the steps involved, the steps for multiplying. First thing we want to do is reduce to lowest terms. The reason for that is you could have 90 over 100. That's a really big fraction. And if you want to multiply that, well, you have to think about what 90 times or 90 multiplied by something is, when we could really just reduce this to 9 over 10. Be a lot easier that way. So step 1, reduce to lowest terms. Number 2 is to actually multiply, and we're going to start off with the numerators and then multiply the denominators. So again, for example, if we take 5/6, top number, numerator, bottom number, denominator. I did it again. Denominator. We're going to get into some examples now. Before we start the examples, keep in mind our steps. Step 1, reduce. Is there anything we can reduce here? We have 4/8 and we have 3/5. Now, trying to think about it, we can't really reduce 3/5. 4/8, 4/8. Now, if there's only somebody that could tell me if I can reduce that, ooh, look at that pizza. So we have 1/2, 4/8, and 2/4. So 4/8 is actually the same thing as 1/2. Exclamation mark, they're the same. So I'm going to rewrite this as, I'm going to put my equal sign here, 1/2 multiplied by 3/5. Okay? And what does that actually equal? Well, we can multiply the first two digits. Let me do that in a different color. We're going to multiply 1 by 3. I'm going to get rid of this equal sign. 1 multiplied by 3 gives us 3. Let's use blue. And then we have 2 multiplied by 5. So we first thing we did is multiply the numerators. Or the second thing, excuse me, number 2. And the third thing we did, I'm going to get rid of this part here. And the third thing we did was multiply the denominators. So 2 multiplied by 5 gives us 10. So 1/2 multiplied by 3/5 gives us 3/10, 3/10. Let's do another example here. Now this is something we haven't talked about. We've got 6/10 and 3 wholes. Now, 3 wholes isn't a fraction, right? But we can maybe change it to turn it into a fraction. First thing I'm going to do, though, is write down my steps. Reduce. Can I reduce either of these? Well, it just happens to be that I can reduce 6/10. But what can I reduce 6/10 into? Now, if I divide the 6 by 2 and divide the 10 by 2, I end up with 3/5. That's an odd-looking 5. And I'm multiplying that by 3. Well, when we say the number 3, we really mean 3 wholes. So if I were to draw 3 whole pizzas, I'm not going to cut any of them in half, right? None of that. We don't want quarters, we don't want half, we don't want any pieces. We just want 3 whole pizzas. So the way we can represent this is by saying this is 3 whole pizzas, 3 over 1. 3 over 1 equals 3. But if we want to put it in a fraction, which we do, we need to write it like that. So we've taken this 3 here, and we've written it out as 3 over 1. Okay? Now our second step. Well, let me write that in here. 3 over 1. Our second step is to multiply numerators. Where did that y go? There we go. So 3 multiplied by 3 gives us 9. And now our last step, step number 3, writing over the pizzas here. Maybe I should just erase the pizzas. Bye-bye, pizzas. Our last step is to multiply the denominators. So we've multiplied our numerators. We found that, I'll use red for that. 3 multiplied by 3 gives us 9. Now we have 5 multiplied by 1. 5 multiplied by 1, any number multiplied by 1 is the same number. So 9 over 5. So 9/5. Now we can actually reduce this 9/5. I'm going to erase that. I'll still have that line drawn there. And I'll still have that right there. 9/5 can actually be reduced. When we're saying we have 9/5, we have a pizza that's cut into 5 pieces, and we have 9 of those pieces. That doesn't make sense. What we really want to say is we have 1 whole pizza, and whatever our remainder is. And in this case, it's 4/5. So 9 over 5 was our original answer. And 9/5 can actually equal 4/5. Or 1 and 4/5, excuse me. When we divide fractions, we have different steps. The process is very, very similar, except for number 1. Number 1 is a slightly different process. We need to find the reciprocal. And this is a word that we probably haven't heard before, but it's nothing too scary. Basically, the only thing that, when we find the reciprocal, we are flipping, I'm going to write this in red, flip the numerator and denominator of the second term. That's important to keep in mind. If we have 2 terms, for example, if we have 1/2 and 3/4, what we're going to do is we're going to flip that 3/4. So this 3/4 is going to turn into 4/3, okay? That's the reciprocal. Once we have found the reciprocal, we then just multiply the results, and then we simplify or reduce. Okay, so this reciprocal part is the most important part when we're dividing fractions. So let's do an example. We have 9/10 and we have 2/3. Well, we're dividing here, right? This division sign means find reciprocal. I think I'm spelling that wrong. Might be an A. Reciprocal. Either way. Reciprocal. Now how do we do that? We take this second term. So we were looking for the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/3, because we always use the second term. I'm going to rewrite that underneath. Second term is flipped. So 2/3 would actually be 3 over 2. So now we're going to rewrite 9/10, and since we flipped this division sign is now a multiplication sign. 9/10 multiplied by 3 over 2. And when we multiply, we just go straight across. So 9 multiplied by 3 gives us 27, and 10 multiplied by 2 gives us 20. Now again, if we're saying we have 27 over 20, that doesn't really sound right. That's an improper fraction. So we're going to change that to a mixed number. And this equals 1 whole, and whatever, our remainder is, which is 7 over 20. And the way that works is, take 27 pieces and subtract 1 whole, which we're saying is 20, and we end up with 7 as a remainder. So our answer is 1 and 7/20. We'll do one more example here. Now again, we have this 4. This is a whole number. Whole numbers, draw it out again, by saying I have 4 whole pizzas. And it's not really a fraction, but we can say that this is all over 1. So that 4 turns into 4 over 1. Now, since it's a division sign, we need to find the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 4 over 1, we flip the values, we flip the numerator and denominator, and we get 1 over 4. So we can rewrite this question. 6 over 7 is now multiplied by 1 over 4. And we can work out the math as it stands. 6 multiplied by 1 gives us 6. 7 multiplied by 4 gives us 28. So now we've got 6 over 28. But I don't think we're done yet, because if I look at 6 over 28, I know there's a couple of numbers that I can divide 28 by, that I can also divide 6 by. One of them is 2. So if I divide, let me just move this piece over here. Done. If I divide each side by 2, I will get 3 over 14. And that is our final answer. So now I'm going to ask you to try this. Different types of multiplication and division questions. Remember, when you're multiplying, you want to try to reduce first, then multiply numerator and denominator. This is for multiplication. And denominator. When you're dividing, let's see where I can put this. Division, step 1 is to find the reciprocal. Step 2 is to multiply. Numerator and denominator. And I apologize, DM again. Apologize for the watermark that's here and you can't see it, but you can always go back to our steps. Steps for dividing and steps for multiplying. So give these a try. And as always, we say thank you. Maybe I should change the color of my highlighter at some point. Happy face, and we hope you have a great day.